Hello, and welcome to the Georgina Chamber of Commerce 2022 Municipal Election Debates. My name is Dave Selassie, and I will be the moderator for this debate. The debates are being held in partnership between Rogers TV Georgina and the Georgina Chamber of Commerce. During this debate, you will hear from two of the four candidates who are asking for your vote on October 24th to be the next Ward 4 councillor for Georgina. I will read statements from those not in attendance shortly. I will introduce the candidates here in a moment, but first I want to cover some ground rules. The order in which the candidates will be introduced and provide opening statements was determined by a random draw prior to the program. The order will be reversed for closing statements. Each candidate will be given 1 minute for opening statements and closing comments, and a minute to answer each of the questions. A timekeeper here in the studio will be giving a 30-second and then a 10-second cue to each candidate. If a candidate has something they would like to challenge, they will just simply raise their hand and be recognized by myself prior to the next question. They will have time to challenge the statement, and rebuttal opportunities will be available as time permits. We're looking forward to a respectful and fulsome discussion, and I encourage everyone to make the most of this time we have together. So now, here are two of the candidates running for Ward 4. To our left, Mike Anderson. Welcome, Mike. And to my right, Dale Kerr-Genge.
Hi,
Dale,
thank
welcome.
you.
Now, candidates Amanda Pace and Laurie Pangman, have sent regrets for not being able to attend the debate today. Each has prepared a statement for me to read. I'm going to read those statements now from the two candidates who could not join us. First off, the statement from Amanda Pace. Do you want someone on the inside working for you? Permits, taxes, red tape. What I can promise is I will bring unique skills from my 8 years of military service that are met with a high level of duty, loyalty, integrity, and courage. Many of those years I worked under operations, training, and command centers, overseeing, planning, and distributing information appropriately to get things done fast and effectively within a team environment. It would be an honor to bring those skills to my home community to impact change. Thank you. And now I'm going to read the statement from Laurie Pangman that she sent in today. Hello, my name is Laurie Pangman Carrier. It is with an extremely heavy heart that I am unable to attend today's debate due to illness, and I needed to responsibly decline to ensure everyone else remains healthy. Thank you to the Georgina Chamber, Rogers TV, moderators Karen Wolf and Dave Selassie for their dedication, and I sincerely extend best wishes to all 2022 Georgina Municipal Election candidates. I proudly come from many generations that fell in love with the extraordinarily beautiful land and Lake Simcoe. They invested their dreams, ideas, and energy here to build homes, farms, businesses, and thriving communities to raise their families here, like you. My endless love of Georgina is truly in my DNA, and Ward 4 is deeply rooted in my heart. My family and I are hardworking and well known for our decades of selfless community volunteering, organizing many charities to help those in need and to help uplift community spirits. Approximately 10,000 people live here, with numbers growing, and it's important to ensure that future plans responsibly align with your vision, your values for your life, your family, your business, and your needs. I hear my community's concerns, stresses of high taxes, issues with developments, rejuvenate downtowns, infrastructure issues, water tap issues, medical clinics, doctors, hospital, nursing homes, and revisit the insensitive council's 33% raise hike that needs to be appropriately adjusted with consideration of councillors working full-time. I will bring a knowledgeable, results-oriented voice to the table that will productively work together with everyone, build respectful relationships, maintain strong communications, and advocate effectively on your behalf. I humbly ask for your consideration and kind support and votes to proudly represent your voices as your Town of Georgina Ward 4 Councillor, please. Okay, those are the written statements submitted by the two candidates who could not join us today. So now we're going to turn our attention to the candidates who are here present in the studio to participate in this debate. So let's begin with opening remarks. You will each have 1 minute based on our draw prior to the debate, and we're starting with Mike Anderson. Mike, I invite you to begin your opening statement.
Hello, I'm Mike Anderson. I would like to thank the Georgina Chamber for holding this debate. I would also like to acknowledge the other Ward 4 candidates, all of whom have made tremendous positive impacts on our community. By profession, I am a journalist, having worked for CBC and CTV News. I spent much of my career as a communications officer in provincial government. So I know how government works, and I know how to get government to work for Ward 4. As the publisher of the Georgina Post, I continually connect with small business owners and understand the challenges they face. When elected, I will work hard to remove the barriers that prevent them from growing. I will also leverage the wonderful assets we have, like our beautiful waterfront parks and harbor, to drive economic growth. But this must be carefully managed and guided by the needs of Ward 4 residents.
Thank you. That's the minute. So now we'll go to the opening remarks from Dale Kerr-Genge. Dale, please.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name's Dale Kerr-Genge, and I'm running because I truly believe I can make a positive difference. For more than 35 years, I worked as a professional engineer, specializing in planning for long-term repair and replacement of capital assets. I'm also a professional writer. I've lived in Georgina for 33 years with my husband and 3 children. 4 years ago, my husband and I sold majority interest in our 25-person engineering firm, and I turned my attention to the local community. I started watching and attending all council meetings. I soon realized that Ward 4 needed representation from someone who understands the core assets a municipality is responsible for: roads, buildings, bridges, sewer, waters. Someone who understands fiscally responsible management of large budgets and reserve funds to ensure taxes are kept in check. Someone who has ideas for red tape reduction for small businesses. Someone with communication skills to ensure transparency, and someone who can come into council and hit the ground running. I am that person.
Thank you very much. Good, good. Now we're going to move to the question portions of the debate. Questions submitted by community organizations, Chamber of Commerce, and the citizens across the town at large. So the first question, I'll be asking Dale Kerr-Genge to respond first. Okay? High Street and Sutton and Lake Drive and Jackson's Point business area are looking so tired. What can be done to attract new business and inject some new life into these areas?
Oh, there's so many things. I've got a lot of ideas. One thing I would really like to see for High Street is to bury the overhead wires. That's going to be a tough one because it will depend on hydro in the region. There's also a lack of parking on High Street. So what I'd like to do is see the town buy that lot beside Mansion House, put parking in there so we can widen the sidewalks on one side of the street to make it look better. I've also mentioned to some people as I've been knocking on doors that we should have a Weedless Wednesday where we pull weeds from the sidewalk. Just that little thing would make it look better. Similar in Jackson's Point, just cleaning it up. I did a cleanup in Jackson's Point in the spring. There was a lot of garbage. There's a lot of just branches down. Just cleaning up that would help a lot. We also do need to take care of the sidewalks. There's some tripping hazards on some of them. I'm prepared to get out and do what I can myself, even if it means pulling weeds. Thanks.
Thank you. Mike Anderson, same question to you. How do we inject some life into the main streets in downtown?
Well, it's a challenge because they've been neglected for so many years. And really, it's going to take a community to get involved because just relying on the town is not sufficient. So I am planning to engage the community and residents with quarterly town hall meetings in the ward and to listen to their suggestions on how to improve these communities. But basically, we need to take several steps. The first is to fix the sidewalks, which are atrocious. Also, weed cutting is a real issue. I don't see why residents have to call the town to get ragweed cut from below, our own flower pots that we put in. So it needs attention. And as the ward councillor, I will be on top of it, and I will make sure that we, implement.
Thank you. The next question I'm going to ask Mike Anderson to answer first this time. There's a proposal to replace the Ramada Inn in Jackson's Point with a 4-story retirement-style condominium apartment development consisting of 62 units. What is your position on this development?
I am not opposed to development. I think if it's the right proposal, whether it's a condominium or a hotel, I think I definitely would work with a developer and the community to make that a reality. I don't like the design that is being submitted. I think there's some serious concerns with the technical aspects. Apparently, they were saying that they were going to build an underground garage. Well, anybody would know that the water table would preclude that and would cost millions of dollars to do. So I would, based on what I've seen, I would reject that proposal and ask them to come back to the table with something better.
Thank you. Dale Kurgan, same question on the Ramada Inn proposal.
Yeah. As it stands, I'm against the proposal they've put forward. It's too dense. 62 units is way too dense for that property. It's too tall. It's basically approaching 60 feet, and it would cast a shadow on Bonnie Park pretty well all the time. I have safety issues. They've designed the driveways to be two-way traffic, and I've recently driven them a couple times, and it's very narrow. It's not wider than for one car, and I'm concerned about fire trucks getting in there. I think that if they want to go ahead, and I do support something happening there, because that is an area that could be cleaned up, is possibly moving the condo unit to the other side of their lot so that any shadows are cast on their own property rather than the public park. I'd also like to just point out that technically underground garages are possible. Under the water table, it's done all the time in Toronto. So that's possible. Thank you.
Thank you.
Rebuttal.
Yep. Do you have a chance?
It is possible, but it costs tens and 20s of millions of dollars to do it on a large project. It's just, fiscally not doable, and any condo unit purchaser would balk at the price they'd have to pay.
Okay. Sure, you have a chance to respond.
Yeah, that may be the case up here, but it is up to the developer what they want to spend. It has no effect on the town's dollars. So I think you leave the finances up to the developer, who knows what they've got available and what they're capable of doing.
Let's move on to the next question.
Rebuttal?
We've done enough on that question, I think. Okay. Let's move on to the next question, which is I'm going to ask Dale Krienge to begin with this one.
Okay.
One of the most challenging problems we have through all levels of government right now is the cost of housing. What are your plans to address housing affordability in Georgina?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. Affordability really depends on your income. Some people can afford much bigger houses than others. So I don't like speaking about affordability. I think what we need to look at is the possibility of subsidized housing for one, and I think that's beyond what the town of Georgina can apply themselves. Because we're a lower tier municipality, York Region generally looks after housing. What we can possibly do to bring in what you call more affordable housing is to encourage some smaller houses, maybe semi-detached and townhouses, by changing some of our zoning regulations and requiring, when new development goes in, that you put a better mix of houses instead of all single-family residential.
Thank you. Mike Anderson, I'll put the same question to you with regard to affordable housing.
I've had many conversations with residents in Ward 4 who are very concerned about affordable housing, especially seniors. There's an 8-year waiting list for seniors to get a subsidized apartment. I think that's unacceptable. I think we need to work closely with the region and Housing York and get new facilities built on surplus municipal land. I personally think that the town should provide that land free of charge, and we should build the units that seniors need.
Okay, thank you very much. Sure, response to that?
Yeah. Yes, I agree we do need more housing for seniors. The problem we've got in Sutton is that we are out of sewage allocation. And so there's limited places where we can put in such new developments. That's actually another reason I don't support the development at the Ramada as is because they would take up all the remaining sewer allocation for the Jacksons Point area. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Mike Anderson, we'll move on to the next question for you. How do you propose that the town proceed with the Mossington Wharf area, keeping in mind that the town has no access to the actual wharf?
It's a very good question. I think it's something that council has struggled with. The previous councillor was a big proponent of developing Mossington Wharf, but there are serious structural and other issues preventing that. Basically, we need to take the check that the federal government has given us and decommission that wharf and make it a natural element within the lake. I know for a fact that Quail Engineering, the company that did the study, we are still leaking chemicals from the wood, even though the previous councillor had said that wasn't the case. So we need to decommission that wharf and use the funds that the federal government has provided before the check bounces. We have a deadline, so we need to spend that money now.
Thank you. Dale Kurgan, John Mossington.
Yeah, I've been on record saying that I think we need to remove it. Whether we just remove the deck boards or remove it in its entirety, as our environmental committee has suggested. It's not safe. There's no access across the land for our residents. As president of a local ratepayers association, I surveyed our membership, and about 80% were in favor of removal of the wharf. We received $770,000 from the feds when we took it over. $58,000 of that's been spent on a study to determine what should be done with the wharf. So that leaves us $712,000. The requirement when we took it over from the feds that we had to maintain it in its existing condition for at least 5 years. That 5 years will be up next year. So we can't do anything to it until that 5 years is over, or we have to give that money back. So we just leave it as it is for now. Issues, no parking, no land access. We need to remove it. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, next question, we'll start with candidate Dale Kurgan.
Okay.
I'm asking you to describe an economic development strategy that you think would successfully attract employers offering good paying jobs to the town.
One of my thoughts is, well, there's several. Our town has a bad reputation for people wanting to come in and set up businesses. We put up a lot of roadblocks to them. So we have to clear out some of that red tape. We have to make the whole development process smoother. One of the things I've recommended is a concierge approach, where when you go to the town and you want to develop or build something, there's one person at that town that you deal with, and that person handles all the background for you. So you don't have to worry about which department you have to go to for what. We need to seek out businesses that might like to come up here. We can promote our lifestyle, the lakefront, and so forth. One way I think of doing that is to approach high-end commercial real estate agents who are looking for places for their businesses and let them know how great a community we have. We need to keep residential growth in step with all our commercial growth as well.
Thank you. Mike Anderson, same question to you, economic development.
Yeah, I mean, following up on some of Dale's comments, we have a big problem in this town getting building permits. I know of several people who have had to wait up to a year to get a commercial building permit. That is unacceptable. If we want economic growth, we need to get that going, because that's really going to stop anybody in their tracks from investing in this town. I have an ambitious plan to redevelop the harbor, and I think that that will bring much needed jobs and economic activity and development to Jacksons Point and Sutton.
Let's staying with you now. The next question I'd like you to start with: how can Georgina project a friendly and inclusive image to tourists and visitors from outside the town and educate its residents to do this as well?
Well, this is also a challenge. In the paper, I've documented several incidents where we've had racist graffiti. Now, this is not indicative of most of the people who live here. This is definitely, you know, it's definitely, you know, not ingrained. However, we need to address these issues forthrightly and not ignore them. Even small incidents need to be dealt with, and we need our leaders to speak up, and I definitely will do so.
Thank you very much. Dale, to you on tourism.
Yes. I thought we were on making it friendly. And,
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I kind of classified that as the tourism question. I beg your pardon. The question is,
Okay.
how can Georgina project a friendly and inclusive image to tourists and visitors,
Okay,
as well
okay.
as residents?
Yeah. Friendliness. Yeah, we need to be on top of any racist issues, as Mike has said. Our parks are where the tourists are coming. So we need to make sure they're appealing to the tourists. We need to make sure we're picking up the garbage in a timely manner. We need to welcome them, do whatever we can, make our stores and our community more appealing. Make it looked after so people feel like they want to come and visit us. As far as promoting inclusiveness and so forth, we did have the Pan-African ceremony on Emancipation Day. So even more events like that that encourage people to come from outside the town and see our communication, like the powwow. That's a great example. Thank you.
Thank you. Your response?
Yeah, just to follow on what Dale was saying. I mean, the town imposed a cooking ban in the parks, and some people agree with it and some people disagree with it. But there wasn't hardly any discussion about that ban. It wasn't really raised in council. I think we have to be very careful the steps that we take, because it does impact tourism. And I've heard from people who say they're not going to come back to the park because of that. So I think if you're going to ban cooking, then allow people to purchase food in the parks. We need food vendors and food trucks, and we need a designated barbecue area that is not going to impact residents.
Let's go to the last question, probably be our last question. I'll start with Dale Kurganj on this one.
Okay.
One of the hot issues in Jackson's Point right now is the road end lake access, with immediate householders blocking their road ends for their own use. How do you think these neighborhood access points should be dealt with, and how do we resolve and prevent conflict?
Yeah, there's a lot of nuances to that question. I actually support the beachfront associations or the road ends to have their communities, to try and keep it local to Georgina residents. A lot of that is accomplished because there's no parking at those spots. I don't believe it should be just necessarily the neighborhood. I think the Miami Beach Association does it well. They collect memberships so they know who their members are, and they do accept members from outside their immediate geographic area. And I think that's a good approach to the solution. We have our main beaches for the tourists. The locals all want something for themselves. Was that the 30 or the 10? I'm at the 10.
That was it.
And I just want to say one more thing. I do support the idea of a residents-only beach. The trick will be we have to control the access to it so that it's only residents that can get to it. Thank you.
And that, right on.
Right on.
Mike Anderson, to you, the issue of road ends.
Well, I fully support road ends and beach communities. I think people have owned the right or have the right to have access to the lake. I hear from many people when I door knock that they are unable to use De La Salle on the weekends. Therefore, they do need these road ends to access the lake. That's why they moved here, or they live here. So we need to protect that. And, in terms of, we need to also manage these big parks better, the waterfront parks, because there's too much overflow. People are coming and trying to work their way into the road ends and park illegally. We need to step up our bylaw enforcement, and we have to deal with people who are blocking driveways. I've heard from many people where we have people illegally parking. The town does not have a contract with a tow company. I would push the town to do that, and we should tow any car that's parked illegally.
Thank you. We'll now move to closing statements.
Okay.
You will each have 1 minute, and we're going to do this in reverse order to the opening remarks. So we're starting with Dale Kurgenge.
Okay, thank you. By now, most Ward 4 residents will have received some of my campaign materials and know that I have 5 main issues I want to address. One is effective communication. I will be available to my constituents and provide regular communication such as meetings, email, phone calls, newsletters. 2, financial responsibility. I am fiscally conservative and will provide careful budget oversight to ensure taxes are kept in check. 3, build our economy. I will seek to have the Sutton and Jackson's Point BIAs revitalized and will push for red tape reduction in the development of the building process. Smart growth. I will promote infill versus sprawl into farmland in ways that maintain the character of our neighborhoods. 5, protect Lake Simcoe. I will fight against the Upper York sewage solution, fight for quick construction of the phosphorus removal plant, and encourage education of waterfront owners. If I've not yet been to your residence, don't worry, I'm continuing to knock on doors, or you can go to my website, dalekurgenge.com.
Thank you. And now go to candidate Mike Anderson, please. Closing statement.
Over the years, both Jackson Point and Sutton have been badly neglected. Residents must call the town to have weeds cut. The sidewalks are a disgrace. There are too many vacant storefronts. Our harbor lacks basic amenities for recreational boating. There isn't even a sign welcoming visitors to Sutton. We need to reinvest in Sutton and Jackson's Point and our harbor to make destination locations so that people want to visit and spend money in our stores and restaurants. So how do we get there? We need to emulate other Ontario towns, like Trenton, which successfully rejuvenated its downtown core and built Trent Port Marina, a first-class municipal marina which attracts thousands of boaters each year. The path is clear, but there's much to do. We need strong leadership and effective representation. That's why on October 24th, I will count on your vote.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, candidates, for your participation today. And thank you to our viewers for joining us. We're hoping that these debates will help you make an informed decision for Election Day. At Rogers TV, we'll be repeating the debates leading up to October 24th. Schedules are available on rogerstv.com. We also invite you to tune in on election night to watch the local results. I also want to invite you to watch Politically Speaking this month, in which 3 former members of council will discuss the issues in this election. I'll be hosting that show. I'm Dave Selassie.